Big news, Daniel Ricciardo to McLaren, Carlos Sainz to Ferrari, Sebastian Vettel still out there in the Ethernet somewhere, and a Renault seat to be filled. Somebody that I'd like to talk to about all of this, because he's a cool guy, B, he's very quick, C, he's kind of in the mix of it all, is Jack Aitken. So let's see if I can get him on the line.
Hi Peter, how are you?
Yeah, good, very good. You know the Renault team well. What do you think they'll do with the other car now?
I think they'll wait. Traditionally, Renault have taken their time with decisions like this, and they want to see what options are out there. You know, there's a certain, well, yeah, Mr. Alonso would be returning, wouldn't he, to Enstone? It's not even a new addition to the team, but maybe he'd make a comeback. But that would be probably the direction I think they're going in, just because they want a team leader, which is what they've lost in Daniel. They've always said they want to support their, driver program, the academy, but this will be a test to see if they're going to live up to that.
I mean, the thing about Alonso is that you've got to assume he'd want a reasonable amount of money, and at the moment, it doesn't look as if Renault are flush with cash.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, Daniel, they paid big bucks to get him in, and they invested a lot of not just money in terms of a salary paid to him last year, but it was a lot of effort, and they had to go to the board to convince them to put up the money to bring him on. Are they going to do that again to get Fernando, who has his own troubles, you could say, to bring with him? And Renault, the future maybe isn't 100% certain for them, especially with what's happening this year. There's a lot of question marks, as always, so it's going to be hard to predict.
Not an easy question for me to put to you here, but from your point of view, are you kicking yourself slightly in the position you're in at Renault? Would you be in the frame, do you think, if you stayed there?
I've had a lot of comments to that effect, but actually no. Of course I would say that, but I tell you why, because when I was at Renault, I knew that Daniel wasn't 100% happy, so I knew that there was a possibility that he would leave in the way that he has done. The reason I didn't want to stick around waiting for that was, well, like I've said before, I felt I'd reached the end of my path with Renault. There was a clearer path, if you like, at Williams, and the feedback that I had from Williams and the sort of the human touch was really positive there, and that's kind of a gut instinct kind of feeling. So I don't really regret it, because I kind of saw it coming, if you can say that. So yeah.
Well put. What do you think about Daniel the McLaren, Carlos the Ferrari?
I'm really, really pleased for Carlos, because I spent a year with him at Renault in 2018, and he's just a lovely guy with lovely people around him. So yeah, really, really pleased that he's going to have his chance, and I'm actually a bit excited for him, which you don't get often with driver to driver, I guess, because we're a mean old bunch. But yeah, it's good to see. And then Daniel, I suppose kind of saw it coming a little bit, but I'm a bit surprised that it happened so soon. But yeah, it's consequences of a disappointing year, I suppose, from last year.
So talk about your feelings about Williams, how you feel in the team right now, and how you see potentially the opportunity arising for you there to go even further.
Well, it's been a bit of an odd start, because we haven't actually gone racing together yet. I was looking forward to seeing the team in action at Melbourne, and I've seen a bit of it. I've been in the simulator, I've been around the factory, and I really like everyone who's been so kind to me and so welcoming. I always said that one of the things that I liked about Enstone and Renault was that it was quite a family feel team, and Williams seems to be of that same cut. And even more so in some cases. It's been such a warm welcome. So I feel really at home already. It's just a case of getting to know how the team works, which I haven't had the chance to really do yet, but hopefully once we get racing again, that'll all fall together quite nicely.
And then I guess thinking a little bit beyond that, you think maybe, I'm thinking now, Nicholas Latifi might be there for a couple of years, but it's potentially possible that George might go to a team like, I don't know, Mercedes, if there's a slot there. He might move on relatively quickly, in which case there's a chance for you, right?
Absolutely, yeah. It's I think there's a good chance of a seat coming up in the near future. Where that comes from in terms of George or Nicky, I don't know, but Williams have always shown that they're willing to take chances, and I like to think that I can put myself in a good position. I've had good record up till now, but you can't rely on that, so I need to have a good year in F2 if F2 goes ahead, and I need to show well with the team when I do get my chances by whether it's in a test with the team or FP1s or whatever. So, I'm just going to get my head down and see what happens.
Just going back to Carlos Sainz at Ferrari, you spoke about Carlos a bit earlier. He will do a good job, and there's no doubt that in a good car like you, he could win a Grand Prix, and will probably win Grand Prix for Ferrari. But how do you think he'll go alongside Charles?
I think he'll do better than people expect, at least initially. He's quite a strong guy mentally, I would say, which is it's a trait that shouldn't be underestimated. And I think you'll need that going into a team that's effectively built around Charles now, especially now that Seb is leaving. And he's got a good camp around him. Ferrari is quite a pressured environment, which I think has been well documented. So he'll need that support. I think he'll do well initially, but time will tell whether he's going to do well enough to eclipse Charles, because he's just, he's such a talented driver.
And the other interesting matchup is going to be Lando against Daniel, I think. I mean, how do you think Lando will go in terms of pace alongside Daniel?
I think he'll have the upper hand, to be honest. Lando is a very quick driver as well, and he's improved a lot since the start of the season last year. But Daniel he's got a lot of experience. He knows how to work the team around him as well, which I saw at Renault. He was quite impressive in that sense. And I think he's quite hungry at the moment as well. He's had a false start with Renault, if you like, and he knows that he's coming towards the end of his best years, possibly. So I would back Daniel to do quite well there.
And you could add to that, as well as being hungry, he's got his money now, so he can go back to being a racing driver again.
No comment.
Jack, you were going to do the S5000 race at Melbourne. Shame that didn't happen. Looked like you were having a bit of fun there.
Yeah, it was a massive shame because I did a quick test down the road from Melbourne, which was huge fun. The car was just moving around all the time. It's like an F2 car, but with no downforce and rock hard tyres, so it's huge fun. And take it to a street circuit that's dusty and green like Melbourne. It's a real challenge. And we got to practice on Thursday before they actually shut the event down. And yeah, it was awesome. I was really looking forward to racing it, but we all know what happened there.
Interesting under braking, right? They don't use carbon brakes.
No, they're steel brakes. So you're traveling at quite a speed when you get to the braking zones, and it's probably nearly. I wouldn't say it's quite double the length of an F2 braking distance, but it's getting on for that. But it's cool because it means that there are opportunities in the braking zones. Racing would have been easier. It's something that they talk about a lot in F1. The braking distances are so short now. It's really hard to get one over on someone unless you're really alongside them. But yeah, they were a handful.
And as Rubens Barrichello found out.
Yeah, Rubens was great to have on the team though. He was completely... he was really charming in that he was clearly there to have a good time. He wasn't taking offense that younger guys were quicker than him, and he was just trying to have a good time, and he was really free with his time, with his experiences. We had breakfast a couple of times together, me and my teammates and him. Yeah, really nice guy.
And one wonders, given how relatively cheap that series is, whether that may be some sort of way forward now for motorsport post-COVID, with a lot of teams suffering now, and motorsport in general obviously is going through a hard time. This is a series that, the budgets are surprisingly low, right?
Yeah, they are. That comes back to the car. I think it's much simpler to run than a lot of the Formula 2 cars, Formula 3 cars that we have here in Europe. The way they run the series is much more relaxed as well in terms of the structure is a bit more free. the cars all come from the same. Well, I think it's actually one of the teams that manufactures the chassis. So it works well for them, but unfortunately, when you're talking about the level of FIA, F2 and F3, you kind of have to bring in some of these safeguards of making sure that the parity of performance is the same for all the cars. You have to make sure that the scrutineers are doing their job. You have to make sure the tracks are up to scratch. And, you know, the costs rack up quite quickly, but it is a problem, yeah.
So, Jack, just tell us about your life over the last 2 or 3 weeks, what you've been doing, how you've been handling the lockdown, and your thoughts on moving ahead now.
My life has been a lot of training. It's almost been like a training camp. Training, I've been cooking a bit, more than my usual chicken and rice. It's been just trying to actively take a bit of time off, because I think, I know some might approach it that you have to take this time to prepare as much as possible and, you know, really be on it and 100% focus, but I think that's not really a sustainable view. We're in this for quite a while now. This is week 7 of lockdown in the UK, and you have to take a bit of time off when you can, because the rest of the season is going to be flat out. So I've taken a bit of time to relax. I am starting to build myself back up, communicating with the team again, seeing what the calendar's shaping up to look like, and just getting ready towards that first weekend again. But I have stepped away and taken a bit of a breather.
And how is it shaping up? Are you assuming that if Austria's on, there'll be an F2 race in Austria?
Yeah, I think if Austria goes ahead, we'll be there. It's looking likely that it'll be a double header as well, so we'll stay there and do another weekend. But everything is obviously still up in the air. So we have a provisional calendar, but it's very much provisional. There's a lot of problems still to solve.
Jack, one final question. In your role as third driver for Williams, are there going to be occasions when you're running on a Friday and then doing the F2 race?
Yeah, so I have an FP1 scheduled, and not sure, because of the way the calendar's changed, we're not sure when that will be exactly, but it's very likely that it will be somewhere in Europe, and therefore I'll have to jump out of the F1 car and jump across the F2 paddock and go straight in for our first practice session. So it's been done before, it's nothing new, but it should be exciting.
Well, George could give you a few tips on that one, because he did GP3 to F1 to GP3, didn't he, in Abu Dhabi?
Yeah, and Nicky did it a couple of times last year, so yeah, both of them could give me tips if they want.
Great talking to you, Jack. Look forward to seeing you again soon.
And you, Peter. Cheers.